Good morning, everyone.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
Ayaw na adlaw to... I cannot see myself. Can you see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Siguro. Why is this like
Nay,
this?
tagay ng tubig.
Sir
Can we
Vicky,
switch
can
off
you?
the sounds for those who are not speaking, like Sir Rufino, and also EP? Okay. Uh, my warm greetings, madayaw na adlaw to everyone. At the outset, let me thank Brian for initiating this, for coming up with all these committees who will work on this. I instructed him because of the upcoming validation on September 21 by the regional office. So we will be planning for 2 years, 2021 and 2022. This plan will be really be workable because this is coming from your end. Nawala man lagi ko. Okay. I'm still here, no? Okay. So let me enjoin everyone to make this plan really workable. When we tell the truth, when we do our external and internal assessment truthfully, we will be on the right track. So here's hoping that we will be positive about this, no? Because we say positivity will make a difference, no? With the pandemic going around here with us, and Christmas is fast approaching, let us savor the season with much revelry and cheerfulness so that our work will become lighter. So on that note, I wish everyone madayaw na pagtrabaho sa ato DEDP. Division personnel are also frontline. Even if we are not frontline, by the way, are also heroes. So kasama tayong lahat sa pagbangon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for that. So without much ado, let us have the review and workshop proper. Let me give you our Education Program Supervisor, Sir Brian Arroyo.
Okay, my respect to the school's division superintendent, Madam Josita Carmen, to the two chiefs, SGOD and CID, Ma'am Yang and Ma'am Celsa, to all the unit and section heads and representatives, to my division fellows, good morning. Let me share first my screen. Hello, Ma'am Yu. Okay na?
Yes, sir.
How about my audio? Okay na?
Yes, Sir
Okay.
Brian, loud and clear.
So let me start with presenting to you this one of the provisions of the office memorandum. It says there that our existing DEDP is now in its year 4 of implementation. It started in the DEDP the DEDP was crafted in year 2018 year one of its implementation is 2017, and now it is in year four of implementation, and needs to be reviewed and revisited for interventions and re-entries. So in that line, the office enjoins all of us here now to attend this review of the DEDP, and a workshop will follow shortly. And it was mentioned just earlier by our superintendent that there is going to be a validation of our DEDP for the last 2 years of implementation this year, and the last year will be next year, 2022. So that's the primary reason why we are gathered here, because right from the start, all DEDPs, all plans are collaborative. So reviews and efforts like this should sustain the collaboration. So our objectives, just to make it kuan, uh, to make this review structured. First objective is to revisit and or reformulate division strategic directions needed in the effective and efficient delivery of basic education services. Letter B, review and revisit the division programs, projects, and activities based on the needs and priorities, and provide interventions to address challenges and difficulties in attaining standards on access, quality, and governance. So before we go to the nitty-gritty of this workshop, allow me to share this background refresher about DepEd Strategic Planning. So this is culled from the a manual of the same title, DepEd Strategic Planning, uh, authored by Morato. So it says there, let us not, this is not so much of quanamo technicalities. Let us not embrace so much of the technicalities. My point here of presenting to you, of sharing to you this background refresher, is to unify our mindset, na to refresh us all. No? Kay, I believe we were all involved in the crafting since 2017. No? Most of us, if we are new to the organization, then we are automatically part of this collaboration. So again, this is just for mindsetting, not so much of the technicalities. No. Anyway, this is how Morato simplifies things in the manual of DepEd Strategic Planning. So the strategic planning framework is referred to as right to left planning. No? So let me just read. No, the Department of Education is adopting a simple and practical approach to strategic planning, which is termed as the right to left, no, right to left planning framework. So simple as right to left. So this framework of right to left alludes to the practice of reading. Di ba? When we read, that's right to left. No, this framework alludes to the practice of reading that starts, I mean, on the left side of the page and moves toward the right. However, the right to left planning framework begins on the opposite side on the right and ends on the left side to emphasize its adherence to the dictum. No, in all our planning endeavors, we this is our mantra. No, begin with the end in mind. No, so in other words, planning must envision the future. So in fact, according to Dr. Eduardo Morato Jr., the clearer the picture, no, the clearer the picture of the end results desired, the more we can chart our path towards the end. So it it relates to the words of Ma'am Joker earlier. Na it should be workable because as we charter to that path, dapat clearer, no? So the more exact we are about the performance measures we want to achieve, then the more we can determine the strategies and the resources needed. So it's the underscore here is strategies and the resources needed in order to achieve those measures. So that's right to left planning. So this is now let me show you the framework. So this is the framework of strategic planning. Um, you can see on the right side, no? You can see on the right side, those are the outcomes component. And on the left side are the means component. So outcomes and then means. And you can also see the distinction sa color coding sa IJA framework. And in this framework, the outcomes and means converge at the center where the performance indicators or the PIs are. So that's our framework, no? So we will go back to that structure shortly, no? I will bring you to another uh, insight about our strategic planning framework. It is said that our DepEd strategic plan is rational, sequential, and analytical. It is rational because the components are aligned and interrelated in a logical manner. So that's the reason for its being a rational model. And it is a sequential model because it entails a planning process that has two series of consecutive steps or sequences, top down and bottom up. So kindly see the right figure, you know, on the screen. So in the illustration of rational strategizing, the first sequence is the top-down process that begins with vision, mission, values, and objectives, then to key result areas, and then performance indicators, and then a strategy. So that's our top-down uh, rational strategizing. And on the other hand, the second sequence is the bottom-up process. Uh, it consists of the comprehensive assessment of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, or the so-called SWOT in our organization's external and internal environments toward the formulation of strategy. So asa sila nagmeet, it's kung top down and then bottom up, nagmeet gayud sa strategy. Kay from the top down, ang iyang sangputan is strategy man, from of which these strategies uh, are products or byproducts of of unsaon pag materialize, pag operationalize sa atong mga KRAs and performance indicators. On the other hand, bottom up, we did this already, no? In our DEDP, there is a comprehensive discussion already of the assessment of both internal and external assessment. And even in our quality management system endeavors, we have this SWOT. No? We have this internal and external assessment. Ang sangputan gihapon is strategy. So that's the most crucial part. The most crucial point is from the strategy to and ways forward. From strategy, then ways forward. That's the point of our gathering now. No? Kay we need to revisit the strategic directions that we reflected in the DEDP, and we need to the term in the QMS, no, that our term used is strategic options. and they are very closely related. So mona top down, bottom up, common denominator, there's a meeting point which is the strategy. And then it is analytical because it requires in-depth examination and assessment of the internal and external environment. So this is what I mentioned earlier, just earlier about SWOT, no? So dito na magkabiro ng SWOT because we have already the SWOT, and imari na lang nato kay our SWOT is latest sa more of kuana, no, more of contextualized in the pandemic, and our strategic directions mautoy ato pong revisit kay as what Ma'am Joker mentioned, we are going to place to put things in place for this year, although na of course may tabo nga uh, more of something like retroactive uh, inputting of data kay we are already September, and of course begin with the end in mind for 2022, our ultimate year of implementation. So going back to the framework, uh, here's now the ano, the input, no, the input. The first half from the right starts with number one, vision, no, and then mission and values. So na naman na given naman because we have this unified VMV in our department. And then objectives, measurable and results, and we are even we have married already our objectives from the OPCRF of the division, and our quality objectives. So married na siya. And then we have the key result areas also. And since it is OPCRF, it is the umbrella of all the key result areas na kuan moto gingon nga analytical, no, it's everything is connected to everything. And then we have the performance indicators. These are all laid down in the DEDP revised in 2020. And in the context of our department, the key result areas are actually the performance indicators or the PIs, which are quantitative targets. So look at again the framework, that is the first half, and then we have the second half. The second half. So we have the strategies, no? These are the approaches or courses of actions to enable us to achieve our objectives. This is the part of the planning process that calls for the generation of major alternatives or critical options. Then we have the programs and projects, the implementation or operationalization of the strategies. Then we have activities, the set of tasks needed to carry out the programs, and then of course the task, no, the day-to-day individual assignments. And then we have resources, the inputs needed to ensure accomplishment of strategies, programs, projects, activities, and tasks, no. So that's SPAT, no. And in our workshop, to commence shortly, we will be adding one component, which is of course the timeline. No, we need to include timeline kay as what Ma'am Jokar underscored earlier, that it should be workable. So part of that workability is the time frame. Kung kanus anato gyud to ma target na ma-implement. So putting all the components together, so ditong first half and second half, the vision, mission, values, objectives, key result areas, then performance indicators, strategies, programs and projects, activities, task, resources. So total no para natay mnemonic nga dumdumon, the right to left planning framework is also called Vimokrapi SPATRes. So I believe most of you here have encountered already this acronym, no? Mao gyud na ato pirmi ikuan sa ato mindset, the Vimokrapi SPATRes. So mo na atong kuan mantra or mo na atong kumbaga blueprint sa in whatever planning that we will do, no, especially DEDP. So Vimokrapi SPATRes. So again, don't be so kuano kumbaga intimidated of all these technicalities kay we have already actually most half of this half of the things shared to you are already in existence. All we have to do is to revisit them, uh, especially on the other half, no, sa SPATRes. Kay our assumption now, our safe assumption for now is that we are good with the first half, no? We have the Vimokrapi already in place. So no need to brainstorm of all this Vimokrapi kay we are good with the first half. So proof to that, we have these references para makita nato nga indeed we have this Vimokrapi already in place. So we have the DEDP, the latest revision, which is 2020. No, if you will read, no, in toto, part 1 and part 2 of the DEDP, that's where we can find, no, the even the internal and the external assessment, no. Although in the DEDP, it's not really structured on the SWOT process of doing the assessment, but the comprehensive narration of those things makita nato na added to internal and external assessments, no, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats are reflected there, no. So it's part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is executive summary, part 2 is the background, and it's where the very comprehensive part is laid down, no. And then we have of course the quality management manual. We have the quality objectives called from our division of PCRF. So again, we are good with the first half. So how about the second half? So that's the point here. That's a point of why we are gathered here today, because we need to review. We need to review and modify the second half. The SPATRes, di ba? The Vimokrapi SPATRes, we are good in Vimokrapi. Let us focus now on the SPATRes. Amoy na ato i-update ko man. Amo? So, but we have references on this. Kay, we are now banking on what Ma'am Jokar said na dapat ato i-modify na workable. Dapat smart, no? Katong smart na definition. Kay, if we just lay out the strategic options, momentary terms sa quality management, or the strategic directions, how would we determine our ways forward if kutubra kita sa pag-state sa atong state sa atong options or directions nga sa strategic options and or directions. So we need to modify that. We revisit those and then modify. So aman nato tanawa. So we have this reference, the same references. We have the DEDP, and we will now look into part 3, which is titled strategic directions. And as to the QM, the quality management manual, we have also the internal, external, and the SWOT. Dadto may nga itong mga lista ng mga strategic directions and options, the same with part 3 of the EDP, amay dito ato reference. Amay dito ato i-revisit, tanaw na ato, haman dapit ini anako na kabahinan. Isa ako, ini nas, I am LR section haman dapit ini anako. Ako i-call out, then ako i-modify into a template na ipakita ko ra shortly, no? We will unify our template na para pag ma-accomplish natin to template, then we are good. We are now ready for September 21 event, which is the validation of the DEDP. So again, ato i-review and daton DEDP 2020 revision part 3, ako ipakita ko man, ako ra laman i-run through, ihatag ra nako sa ato tanan amo. So here, this is just to run through the strategic directions as reflected in our DEDP part 3. So let me open that. There. So that's our DEDP. Ako na tag erase anay ko na ako an part 1 and part 2. So you have there the strategic directions. So nakalista, no? In two columns ang you have there the goal and the objective. Ato ini tanan i-kuan mo kung whoever is whose area of concern is that, then that's high time we review and call out those things para i-plaster nato sa ato bag-o na template. So we have here on this page duha ra ka column, no, strategies and then interventions. And then again, I invited you earlier sa SPATRes, no? And what we are looking at now is just the S. So hay naman ang patres. Kay naa naman tay S, ato plus taron ang patres, ang program and projects for P, then activities based on that program, and then sunod T, ang task based on those activities, and then the rest, the resources. Ang resources would be 3 P's: people, physical, and peso. So that's SPATRes. And then we add the last part, which is the timeline, the time element. So again, we are looking at strategies ra. So ato ito ni review, hanapon nato an ato kabahinan nga don. So dabo nga don nakalista na mga strategies, and then there is no label kung kanino section, kung kanino unit. That's the point of review, no? And then we also have here sa SGOD na part, no? Naka-label siya. So the planning and research. So you have you have there the strategies, no? And then andyan mga by annual na sa annual na implementation. So that could be programs and activities, no? So muna atong i-revisit. So that's our strategic directions na makita nato sa ato DEDP part 3. So this is just to run through, no? Okay. Sige. And then next is ang natunsot na taglaong ko, another reference nato. Because we can see here the internal and the external assessments before naka forma ng strategic options, no? Options sa dato terms. So here ako i-open down. So this is to show you the assessment part pa ini, assessment part. You have to generate, no, or to define our strengths and weaknesses. Kay this is internal man, so it's strengths and weaknesses. Kung external man good, it's about what, opportunities and threats. So kana, so these are the findings, and then the identified opportunities and threats sa external assessment, so that synthesizing all this, nakakam up kita nan this one, nan SWOT analysis. Kita nato dire, tag otro pag list down ang strengths, and then the opportunities, what are the strategic options. So amoy dire sa lower right quadrant, no, kana tag highlight nako. Dito nato hanapon, dito nato tanawon, dito nato i-review hain nga doon ang mga strategic options na nakatuka sa ato section, nakatuka sa ato unit, para amoy ato dito starting point. Kay di ba SPATRes man nato mindset ko man. So we have the S now, you think of the PATRes para makumpleto nato demography SPATRes. Okay. So the same with weaknesses and opportunities. So jaon gihapon mo, makita nato nga doon ang mga strategic options, and then the same sa tagpaawa tagbangga ang strengths and threats, jaon sa ang strategic options, and finally the weaknesses and threats, jaon sa makita nato na strategic options. This SWOT is not that comprehensive kay atong panahon sa surveillance, we were under time pressure. So muna, that is why we have two references now. Atong part 3 of the DEDP revised 2020, and this is what reflected in our management manual, the quality management manual. So kung jaoy na duplicate, then that is the same thing. That is your strategy. Then we work out, we lay down the PATRes, no, the programs and projects, activities, and then tasks, and then resources, then the time frame. So that's our code. So now we will now proceed to the workshop. Napakita naman ako sa inyo that we are going to review both references, the DEDP 2020 strategic directions, and the QMS SWOT, no, April 2021 ang latest ko nato sa SWOT. And all you have to do is locate and call area of concern, your area of concern. So that is why we are representing our kung wala ato head sa section, you are the representative. So this is what we are going to do. We locate and call the area of concern and use a starting point, katong strategy, katong S sa SPATRes. S ang ato na natay S, himuan ra kanato nan PATRes. So let me show you now the workshop template. Here's the workshop template. Taghimuan ko ra kan nan example, no, taghimuan ko nan example. This is the i-label na ko ano, functional division, for example, is GOD, and then section is HRD. So nakita dito ang strategic options or strategies. Kindly look at the first column. Dito upon review, amoy ni na ikalgan to na ang strategy is to enhance teachers' competencies. So ano may next? So we will work out now the PATRes, no? So with that strategy alone, it could be that there could be one or even more programs to address, to carry out, no, to materialize the strategy. no, to enhance teachers' competencies, that could involve two or even more, or bahala na kung only do na makita sa inyo kuan na program, no? For example, we have this teacher capability development program. So from that, what are the activities na himuon in that program sa teacher capability development program? So follow na ta sa sunod na column, the activity or the activities. So let me run it down. So first, kintahay, no, example, mobilize a team to oversee the program implementation. Ikaduha, conduct TNA for teachers. Ikatulo, process data and information based on the TNA. Ikaapat, conduct FGD to validate findings. Kalima, prioritize the capacity areas for improvement. Number 6, develop appropriate curriculum design for the training of teachers per subject area as prioritized. And then conduct of the training course. And then last is monitor and evaluate the impact of each training course to the teacher recipients. So that is under activity na part. So these are the activities para ma-operationalize, ma-materialize ang program, no? Na di-crop up from the strategy na na-identify. So pag abot diri sa activities, ato i-analyze na each of the activities, no, may require us to define the different tasks, no? Kay ali naman ta sa T. So we are good with S, then we have the P, we have the A, and then the T. So sa T, i-analyze nato per activity could entail several tasks. So why this detailed? Kaya di ba an emphasis ni Madam Joker is it could help us, no, on the workability of our plan. So dapat mas detalyado nato. And this is the template suggested in the DEDP strategic, I mean in the DepEd Strategic Planning. So tanaw nato, no? From the activity, number 1, siguro pag mobilize ng team sa dun raman, no? Sa yun raman na so no need for a detailed task. Let's go to the second activity, which is to conduct TNA for teachers. So that requires structured task para logical, kay di ba anato framework, sequential, logical. So ato ra gyapon ito ma-imbibe na kuan. So from that activity na conduct TNA for teachers, no, training needs analysis for teachers. So number 1, design a TNA survey. Number 2, review and finalize TNA survey. Number 3, set schedule to conduct the survey. So ingana lang nga pagka-detalyado, no? Then notify the teachers concerned of the set schedule, arrange the logistic requirements such as venue, and then reproduce the survey form, then conduct the TNA survey. So tag-cluster tag-idra para mas pastado. Kay each of the tasks would entail also specific resources. Kay di ba nga atong resources tulo, people, physical, and peso, no? So like for example, in this series of tasks from a single activity, this series of tasks, makita nato nga ay mag-require di ay siya og lain-lain nga resources. So like the design of TNA and the review and finalization of TNA. So unsa man nga resources sa people, so the team is needed. So kinsa man tong team, it could be composed of the superintendent, one supervisor, 3 school heads, and 5 teachers. That's the composition of the team. Physical, so they may need a meeting room, writing paper, pen, and snacks. No? And then peso, so kinahanglan og 3,000. And then kanus mao na ang idugang nato, no? We have the SPATRes, no? The SPATRes madugang tanang ng time frame. Kanus nato i-implement. So example ra ni, no? So kay 2021 makita nato, please note this is for 2021, naka-blue diri, no? For 2021, we will also make the same template for 2022. So duha atong himuon na duhang ato assignment to do the patres, no? The SPATRes. So 2021 and 2022. Kaya mao na atong ikarga dito sa ato DEDP, ready for validation come September 21. So balik ako diri sa activity, no? Ang number 2 has several tasks defined. Another example kintahay, the activity, one of the activities again for that program na teacher capability development program is this one, process data and information on the TNA. So we have also a series of tasks na i-define para logical plus tado tanan sequential, and here's the example of set of tasks, no? Customize a template to be used for calling out data from the survey forms. Number 2, call out data and information from the survey forms. So the same process, we have analyzed nato kada task kung uno'y kinahanglan na people, physical, and peso resources. And in the next 3 columns. And then pwede man there are tasks that pareha aning kaina, no? There are tasks na ma-merge for that particular resource. So okay ra, no? And then ang example lamang diri is daghan kayo ang iyang kwan, but then it wholly depends on you kung uno na mga programs, no, and activities. So this is just to illustrate to you the workshop template na ato gamiton. So doon tagkumpleto ko lamang in an example, no, from strategy, then P, no, program or project, no, program/project, then activity na dayon kay SPATRes man, no, activity, then tasks, so mas nagkadetalye, then resources, tulo ka buok, people, peso, and physical. And then of course ang pinaka kuan na a measure of our workability is ang implementation, kano sa nato na makita na ma-implement nato. So I guess I was able to come across with a template, no. So this is also given, no, in the drive. So again, let me reiterate that the formulated SPATRes shall be for year 5 or for this year 2021 and year 6, the last implementation year 2022. And then outputs shall be submitted to a Google Drive on or before Friday, this coming September 17. So that's on or before, please, no, September 17, and you have there the link for the drive, bit.ly DEDP_SPATRes. Daon nga doon na din ha ang template, na po din ha ang references, folder and this presentation, no, para ma-revisit nato po. And then para dali ra nato i-file ang kuan, no, dali ra nato i-organize sa drive, let us follow this output file name convention. You start with the word SPATRes, then underscore, kung ano ka na functional division or unit, underscore section. So for example, no, kung mag-submit na kita na nato output kay dito sa Google Drive, ako ni i-open shortly, duha man dito ka folder, duha ka output folder, 2021 and 2022. So again, this is how we do our file name, SPATRes, for example, no, SPATRes underscore CID underscore LRMS. So ipakita na ko ang kuhan drive daan. So here's the drive. We have two folders for the submission of our workshop output. So you have there the references also, and I'm going to upload this the presentation I had just now, and I even included the DepEd Strategic Planning Guide. So okay, so to end the presentation, let me reiterate. No, I have already read this line from during the start of my presentation. Let me just reiterate that according to Dr. Eduardo Morato Jr., the clearer the picture of the end results desired, the more we can chart our path towards the end. The more exact we are about the performance measures we want to achieve, the more we can determine the strategies and resources needed in order to achieve those measures. So I think that would be all for my part for this DEDP review workshop. Thank you for your attention. From you.
Thank you, Sir Brian. So we will now have our workshop proper, and the outputs will be uploaded in the Google Drive given by Sir Brian as well. Sir Brian, do they work now by functional division?
Yes, Ma'am Yu.
So pwede na sila mag-out, Sir Brian, to work on their assigned task.
Oh, pwede naman siguro kay klaro naman siguro.
How about the submission, Sir Brian? And if you have questions, please raise them now so that there will be no doubts, there will be no clouds in our minds, as we will have our workshop every functional division.
Hello, Miss Yusel.
Yes, Ma'am Yang.
I doubt if others have their copy of the DEDP. So,
It's in the drive, Ma'am. Ako tagbutang.
ay, ano, sir? Sige.
Ato na references, Ma'am, anduha. Atong SWOT nato, ang ato DEDP part 3, and then ang template dyan sab.
Stay ito sa assessment, Bri.
Jaon, Ma'am.
Sige.
Jaon tanan sa drive, Ma'am.
I will just take this opportunity, address to the SGUD group that some of the programs which were not included in the DEDP 2017 to 2022, yung GAD po ay hindi na parang kasi nandun kayo noon sa CID. So, wala po yung GAD dito. At saka yung sa office sa DepEd po, this is addressed to the health